Namaskar viewers, hello and welcome to Sansad TV. I am Tina Jha, you're watching Perspective. Prime Minister Narendra Modi met German Chancellor Olaf Scholz on Monday and the two leaders discussed key areas of bilateral cooperation under the overall strategic partnership as well as regional and global developments. Prime Minister Modi arrived in Berlin on Monday morning on the first leg of his three-nation Europe trip that will also take him to Denmark and France. Upon his arrival, the Prime Minister was received by Chancellor Scholz in a ceremonial welcome at the Federal Chancellery in Berlin, where he was accorded the Guard of Honor. And thereafter, the two leaders met in one-on-one format, followed by delegation-level talks. Now, as per the MEA statement, discussions between the two leaders covered key areas of bilateral cooperation under the overall strategic partnership as well as regional and global developments. So in Perspective today, we will discuss with an eminent panel the significance of Prime Minister Modi's visit to Germany, our strategic partnership with the European country, and how it has evolved over the years. And to discuss these aspects, I'm pleased to welcome on this edition of Perspective, former Ambassador Gurjeet Singh. He's joining us virtually. I also have with me Mr. Alok Bansal, he's Director, India Foundation. And with me in the studio is Professor Rajendra Harshe, his former Vice Chancellor, Allahabad University. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me on this edition of Perspective. Professor Harshe, let me begin the program, in fact, with you. Your opening remarks on the importance and significance of Prime Minister Modi's visit to Germany, particularly because it comes in the wake of the Ukraine crisis, yes, wherein we are seeing the whole of Europe seemingly united against Russia.
I personally feel that it is extremely significant visit. He's not merely visiting Germany, but also European countries. So whatever he says in Germany, entire Europe is going to be affected by it. Most important part for me in this is that we are in the throes of Russo-Ukrainian crisis, and India principally has accepted that Russia has been violating international law perhaps, but India stands for peace. It doesn't want to interfere between the two countries. India also wants to see that hostilities are completely finished by the contending parties. And there is also another problem which kind of India has to face is that it has to convince both the parties. India is keeping in touch with Ukraine as well as Russia, a very unique position. So it is playing that mediatory role. As far as Germany is concerned, it is completely dependent on Ukraine as far as natural gas, oil and coal are concerned. So Germany's energy security is at stake, but still they consider Russia's aggression on Ukraine as flagrant violation of international law, and atrocities are committed by the Russians and violation of human rights committed by Russians. Germany would like India to commit itself, but India is going very cautiously on the matter because there are several other issues associated with Ukraine war, which I'll come to later, considering how India wants to be friendly with United States, China, and maintain some measure of balance. I'll come to that slightly later.
Absolutely, and particularly so because just like India, Germany too has its mutual interests, which are riding its decisions. But that is something that we'll come to in due
one
course
point
of the program.
Only I want to make.
Sure, I'll come back to you, and let me get in Ambassador Gurjeet Singh on this, and because he's also served as an ambassador to Germany. So, Ambassador, how significant is this visit of the Prime Minister, the first of this year that we are seeing to an important partner like Germany? In terms of substance, how crucial has the day been? We've seen there have been one-on-one talks followed by delegation-level talks, and then also a joint statement that was delivered a short while ago. So in terms of substance, what have been the key takeaways for you?
I think it's a remarkable day, and I think any skepticism that anybody has that India's autonomous position on Ukraine has set us back should be put to rest. Germany invited us for this meeting in the midst of the Ukraine crisis. The Chancellor has invited Prime Minister for the G7 summit as a special guest. These are all signs of confidence in engaging India. In fact, engaging India is now all the more important because Germany and Europe also see that pushing Russia out, even for the errors it has committed, is not conducive to a multilateral order. And India and Germany in particular are pursuing a multilateral international order, which means that you cannot rusticate other members of the community had given your will despite their conflagration. You must integrate them into the system to make them conform to international rules. Finally, I think it is important for India and Germany to engage on the Ukraine crisis. But for India, it has been a good day to get Germany to rethink and refocus on the Indo-Pacific and look at China, which is a bigger problem, particularly for us. So I think this opportunity which has arisen of a reordering of the international order due to the Ukraine crisis gives India and Germany far greater space to strategically engage.
Mr. Bansal, do you think India and Germany have been looking to engage in this opportunity that the ambassador points out? So in the wake of the pandemic and also looking at the geopolitical changes that have arisen because of the Ukraine crisis, India and Germany, do you think they've been able to congregate on their interests?
You're asking me?
Yes, Mr. Bansal.
Oh. See, we need to be very clear that Germany at this point of time wants closer relations with India because there is a strategic relook at Germany's dependence on China. Germany is overwhelmingly economically dependent on China. There is a huge trade relation between the two. And I think with this Russian war coming in, there is a growing perception in German media as well as in the political establishment that Germany needs to tone down its dependence on China, its trade relations, and it's looking at new partners in Asia. And it is in this light that we need to see that both Japan and India are being engaged by Germany. And in fact, the first two foreign leaders I think he's meeting, the German Chancellor is meeting, are from Asia. Also, like India, to a very great extent, Germany, despite being part of the EU and being against Russia, Germany is also dependent on Russia for its energy requirements. And I think German criticism of Russia has been relatively less virulent as compared to France and definitely much less virulent as compared to UK and US, because Germany realizes it has a certain amount of dependence on Russia, and it is still using its energy resources in a very, very big way. So I think Germany, again, from India's point of view, Germany is the key as far as EU is concerned, and we are looking at India-EU free trade agreement, which I think we would be looking at, and I think Prime Minister's visit could take India forward as far as India-EU free trade agreement is concerned. So in days to come, I see greater linkages between Germany and India, because I was reading certain opinion polls which show that as far as Germany is concerned, India ranks fairly low as far as public perception of Asia is concerned, because Germany, unlike its European partners like UK and France, does not have any overseas bases or overseas connects. So I think these visits will further strengthen. Of course, as far as corporate world is concerned, there is a robust relationship. India's trade with Germany is the highest within EU at this point of time. And I think that is growing. So this relationship, which I see today, is more of an economic relationship. And I think that this would provide impetus to greater economic cooperation between the two countries.
Okay, Professor. So greater economic cooperation between India and Germany is something that we could see more in future. But if we try and understand how our relationship has evolved, as on date, we are strategic partners. But if we, for the benefit of our viewers, if we try and understand, how have India and German relations evolved over the years?
I think from 2001, they have been evolving consistently. And they have evolved so wonderfully, and consistently we have kind of dealt with each other related to areas related to economy, commerce and business. Today, Germany is seventh largest trading partner of India, and it will mount. The trade between the two countries is something to the tune of $30 billion. Germany also is the seventh largest investor, largest trading partner from Europe, seventh largest investor in India. So generally, economic relationship between the two countries are growing, and Germany can help India in many areas: smart cities, artificial intelligence, green energy, infrastructural development, even IT. several areas where Germany can play a very significant role in developmental projects in India, and they can pursue the developmental projects most certainly. India can retain its strategic autonomy. India can retain this newly kind of stuck somewhere non-allied posture as far as Ukraine is concerned, because India's concerns as far as security are concerned are different than Europe. India is more concerned about Afghanistan, South Asia. India is concerned about China. So India can persuade them to think about how China can become a problem for India in Indo-Pacific, and Germany is interested in Indo-Pacific. India also wants to explore the area of Indo-Pacific in terms of getting seabed resources on towards exploitation. So there are many areas in which India and Germany can work together, and while working together, energy security, broader range of security, and also forging ties with European Union at large are important. Last and not the least, that if G7 group invites India and India becomes part of it, then India already has arrived in some way as a major rising power in world politics, and Germany can do it, and that is what India can look for, because France already is India's friend in several ways. It supports India for United Nations Security Council membership, it supports for MCTR regime, and it has also defense-related cooperation with India. So that next visit is also equally important. Absolutely. So you can't see Germany in isolation. There is also Denmark, there is France, and all these kind of things make India-Europe relationship, and Germany is somewhere the significant, gigantic economic powerhouse of Europe, and we have to take care of it seriously. That's
Certainly.
what I think.
So, and how can Germany, Ambassador, help India forge a relationship with the entire European Union, considering Germany plays a very, very significant role? It's in fact the leading light of the European Union. So if we want to forge our relationship with this entire bloc of countries for our own development prospects, and also the fact that Germany is now helping India in green transition. And that is something that, of course, India wants to achieve to meet its climate targets. So how are we proceeding in our cooperation, taking our cooperation further in these new vistas of partnership?
So, the Indo-German partnership is like a smaller version of the India-EU partnership, or you can say the India-EU partnership is an enlargement of the Indo-German partnership. So, if you notice in our delegation, the trade and our commerce minister is not there this time. This is because the FTA between India and EU is not a debating point anymore. It is now settled that the discussions will begin in June. So earlier we used to debate this with Germany, now there is no debate. So the commerce will be discussed with the CEOs today, and they will be encouraged to utilize the policies of PLI and Atmanirbhar Bharat and the ODA that Germany provides to expand green manufacturing and green infrastructure in India. How I see it panning out is that German companies should build manufacturing hubs in India, which will serve as China +1 nodes, and use the India-ASEAN FTA, India's preferred access to Africa, and to send back to Europe, and therefore expand manufacturing in India where we have an advantage. Salient takeaways today, however, are the migration and mobility agreement and the global sustainability partnership, including a trilateral development partnership. I think these are the ones which will take the Indo-German green and sustainable partnership to greater heights in India and to the global south.
Mr. Bansal, Ambassador talks about a type of China +1 policy. Now, of course, if that can happen to wean Germany incrementally away from China, it's going to be a significant boost, in fact, a strategic boost for the Indo-German partnership. But how feasible is it? Is it something that you foresee in near future?
See, while we would like to do that, but I think the trade relations between Germany and China is enormous. The amount of production that's taking place in China for Germany is enormous. But we must definitely make an endeavor. I think Germany needs to, as Ambassador said, set up production hubs in India and do that. Probably we may not be a complete substitute for what all China is doing for Germany, but like today, it's been planned. We are actually moving into the field of green energy. We are moving into the field of artificial intelligence, robotics, etc. In fact, today the two countries decided to set up a green hydrogen task force. In fact, Germany is also pledged about 10 billion euros for bilateral cooperation. So Germany also realizes that it needs to diversify. I think there is a political consensus in Germany that it needs to diversify its trade as far as Asia is concerned away from China, because for too long, for Germany, Asia meant only China. So I think they need to diversify that, and that they are realizing it. And I think it is in light of this that they are talking of 10 billion euros investment in India. And I think if we play our cards well, we can get Germany's to set up special economic zones in India where German firms can come up and set up their production hubs, which could be geared to supply equipment to Europe and Germany to a very great extent. So we need to work on that in that context, and I think we are trying to do that. And I think we have highlighted the right amount of right things as far as Germany is concerned, like Prime Minister Modi saying that as democracies, we share common values and things like that. And of course, the ultimate icing on the cake is that India would want that India-EU free trade agreement comes through as fast as possible. And Germany is, of course, going to be the key to ensure that that FTA comes through very fast, because that will be a big game changer as far as I feel, as far as India-EU trade is concerned. And I think to that extent, we are continuing with our efforts. And I think Prime Minister's visit will pave the way for moving forward.
Absolutely. Professor, so common values between India and Germany, of which the Prime Minister spoke about. Both countries want a rules-based international order as well. So we've heard both leaders speak about that too. So we've spoken about how our relationship has evolved, how we are gearing up, in fact, accelerating the present relations. But are there any challenges between India and Germany partnership that we need to, with time, take care of? And how do you look at the future roadmap, future framework of both relationships?
One thing is, I'll tell you what, one part which we didn't emphasize was not merely both are democracies, but both are also federal countries.
Yes.
And that federalism matters, that they know that there is unit and center, and relationship between unit and center, India is managing, Germany is managing. The most important part is these consultative intergovernmental meetings were somewhere had slowed down, and it has given Prime Minister Modi's visit has given it a push. This is the 6th meeting now, and I think there is some kind of continuity between Angela Merkel and present Chancellor, and that will continue. The challenges are kind of going through the maze of European Union, because Germany is a leader, and you have to sign free trade agreements, forge ties in much sharper terms, work out relationship in very diverse areas, and then most important part comes up where you have to implement whatever is there speedily. Otherwise, these ties have no meaning. You sign many agreements one after another, but then they remain on ground, and nobody takes them on either side. Sometimes red tape, bureaucracy, it kind of starts becoming tardy, the implementation of it. So challenge is tardy implementation. On either side, we have to work out very fast how governance of these treaties that we are signing and agreements that we are kind of working out get properly managed. And that will be kind of much ahead, it will take us much ahead. Similarly, what Gurjit ji was saying about, India can give access to Germany as far as Africa is concerned, because India is second power after China, which is significant in Africa, and Germany is a major trading and important economic powerhouse of the world, so it would like to have that access to Africa. So there are so many areas where India can also introduce Germany into the world, and Africa is one such continent. Similarly, India needs somewhere kind of entry, and Germany can become a gateway as far as European economies are concerned, because France, we are dealing primarily with defense-related equipments, but also we need to deal with economic projects of different kinds, and that's where Germany can become a gateway.
Absolutely.
And this is how this can be worked out. So challenges are there, but opportunities are also there, and if you work with more efficiency and rigor, this is possible.
Okay, Ambassador, one quick closing comment from you. So opportunities are immense as far as enhancing India-Germany relationships are concerned. There are some challenges of which this professor spoke about. But the fact is, as on date, Germany needs India as much as India needs Germany. So it's a partnership of equals. How do you look at the future of both relationships? Because they are both gateways of each other as far as their regions are concerned.
The pandemic has cost Germany 5% of its economic growth. Sanctions on Russia will cost it another 2.5%. A country which is going to get hit so badly desperately will need new markets. This is what Germany and India can do together by bringing Germany to India in an economic and technology sense on a much larger level than what has happened over the last decade. And that is where the crux of climate change, sustainability, green infrastructure, and everything will matter. And that is, I think, the crux of the matter between India and Germany today. Mutual need.
Absolutely. Mutual need is something that we've built our relationship upon, and now it is for both countries to enhance it further from here. We are already strategic partners, but as all our guests have suggested, there are newer areas of cooperation on which we can take our partnership further. So with that, I'll have to call it a wrap on this edition of Perspective. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on the program today, sharing your thoughts with us and our viewers on this very, very important visit of the Prime Minister to Germany. So that's it from us on this edition of Perspective. Thank you very much to all our viewers as well for their time. See you again tomorrow. Thank you once again.